This is what happens when you censor somebody for 18 years.
Hey, what's going on, folks? We have a great show for you today. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is going to try to primary Joe Biden in the Democratic Party, and he had a lot of interesting stuff to say, as he always does. He talked about how Trump took Pfizer bribe money and hired a Pfizer guy and pharmacy lobbyist to run our government.
Trump brought Scott Gottlieb in. President Trump took $1 million from Pfizer and then appointed a guy who essentially was a Pfizer lobbyist. He was a business partner of Pfizer to run the agency, and then he, of course, made $88 billion for Pfizer on one vaccine and then left to join Pfizer's board. That's not draining the swamp. That is the swamp.
And he also said that Trump was complicit in the lockdown.
Now, President Trump, in fairness, let me just make this point, will tell people, well, the lockdown wasn't my idea. It was my bureaucrats rolled me on it. I was saying we shouldn't do it. But that's not a good enough excuse. He was the president of the United States.
Was Trump? A lot of people try to pretend like he wasn't, but guess what, folks? I brought the receipts today, and I don't care who you are and which candidate you're supporting in 2024. We have to be honest and challenge all the candidates, because the truth is the truth, whether people like it or not.
We did the right thing. We closed the country down.
Could have kept it open. And I could have done what some countries are doing.
I had to shut it down, and we did the right thing.
I thought of keeping it open.
And we did just the right thing. We closed it down. And a group of very smart people walk in and say, sir, we have to close it. And we did the right thing.
They can't do anything without the approval of the President of the United States.
It's going to be a great show. And at the end, we're going to watch John Fetterman, I haven't even seen the full clip yet, and react live to the giant oaf who just made his return to Congress. Welcome to the Dream Rare podcast. Show starts now.
It's the Dream Rare podcast. Welcome to the show. The way to get the news at the desk or on the road. Let's go. God is great and success in our control. The world is crazy, but we get better from obstacles.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? I hope you stay tuned till the end. We're going to watch the John Fetterman clip for as long as we can until I basically can't anymore. That's my goal. We're going to do that at the end. But for now, we're going to go over a few things. I know RFK Jr.'s officially running. He did his little campaign speech. It's all over social media. A lot of interesting stuff was said. The critics of RFK from the left wing will call him an anti-vaxxer and say he's been too critical of vaccines because he's the original vaccine skeptic who's been calling out Big Pharma for decades now. The skeptic on the right wing would tell you about RFK that, you know, he has a few too many liberal stances because he still is a Democrat. I've seen a few tweets on gun control and abortion that people don't like. But at the end of the day, I'm glad that RFK is running, and I'm glad that there's more competition for Biden. And I'm certainly glad just anytime someone speaks the truth, like RFK brought to the table with his campaign speech. So pretty interesting stuff. And I want to go by two clips specifically that I found the most interesting. The first was him talking about Monsanto, which nobody really talks about the food supply. Everything's like this fake, false paradigm. Nobody's talking about the foods, the drugs, etc. For the most part, some are. But I loved how he talked about the big pharma connections and how Trump wasn't really an innocent victim to just Fauci. He actually employed a lot of pharmacy swampers after he took $1 million donation bribe from Pfizer. So let's watch the first clip.
I've spent so much time suing these, these agencies. I know the agencies. I know, how NIH works, how CDC works, how FDA works, EPA. And Michael Baum, who's sitting here in the front row, is my law partner, who was one of the lead attorneys with Brent Wisner on our Monsanto case. When we got the Monsanto papers, we realized that we found emails that showed that the head of the pesticide division at EPA was secretly working for Monsanto for forever. And that's true in all of these agencies. And most politicians, when they come in, they want to, they sincerely want to fix the agencies. They want to fix the government. They want to drain the swamp. But they get in there and they don't know what to do with these sprawling bureaucracies, 30, 40,000 people and their own culture and their own history, and people have been there forever, and it's really hard for them to change that. So rather than do that, they concentrate on another agenda, and they put somebody safe to run that agency. You know, President Trump brought Scott Gottlieb in. President Trump took $1 million from Pfizer and then appointed a guy who essentially was a Pfizer lobbyist. He was a business partner of Pfizer to run the agency, and then he, of course, made $88 billion for Pfizer on one vaccine and then left to join Pfizer's board. That's not draining the swamp. That is the swamp. And
so he first talked about Monsanto and how they found out through some sort of transparency that there was a pesticide in the Monsanto. They were on the same team. The regulators are working for the industries. And this is true with the FDA, with our food, big agriculture, big pharma. It's wildly, wildly, wildly corrupt. And this is not a small issue. This is the food that you eat. It's the water that you drink. It's the air that you breathe. It's everything. It's the drugs that you're taking. It's the legal drugs. It's the ones that they mandate on you in some cases when it comes to vaccines. So you have to understand the FDA and regulation of food and drugs is not a small task. And with that being said, obviously, I don't think anybody that watches my channel thinks that Joe Biden's going to fix this stuff. Nobody thinks that. So let's all get on the same page. Joe Biden doesn't care. With that being said, Donald Trump also doesn't care. He did absolutely nothing, and he's not a victim because he actually hired, as he said, Scott Gottlieb, who ran off to Pfizer afterwards, and Trump put Alex Azar, a pharmacy lobbyist at HHS, once Donald Trump took $1 million bribe from Pfizer. Why does this matter? Well, most people still don't realize, because they're caught in the false paradigm, that Donald Trump actually lied when he said that he wouldn't take anyone's money. That was a lie. He took Sheldon Adelson donor money, hundreds of millions of dollars that he said he wouldn't take, and it was going to mold Rubio into a puppet. He took that money. He took over $100 billion from corporations. So his entire shtick that he told you that he wouldn't sell out because he doesn't need other people's money was a lie. He lied. RFK went on to basically say, very respectfully, there's a lot of things that they blame Trump for that they lied about. But the one really bad thing he did was during the coronavirus was the lockdown. And I think RFK says it very eloquently and very respectfully and gracefully. With that being said, if you don't know, RFK has a throat issue. I don't know the exact disease or problem he has, but, you know, that's why he sounds like that, for those who are wondering. Let's watch.
And the coup de grace was the lockdown. The lockdown was the biggest shift in wealth in human history. And I'm going to tell you about that in a second. And I blame President Trump for the lockdown. Now, a lot of people say, and President Trump gets blamed for a lot of things that he didn't do, and he gets blamed for some things that he did do. But the worst thing that he did to this country, to our civil rights, to our economy, to the middle class in this country, was the lockdown. Now, President Trump, in fairness, let me just make this point, will tell people, well, the lockdown wasn't my idea. It was my bureaucrats rolled me on it. I was saying we shouldn't do it. But that's not a good enough excuse. He was the President of the United States. And as Harry Truman said, the buck stops here. On May 2nd, 2020, 600 doctors signed a letter to President Trump begging him not to allow the lockdowns.
I love what he says, and I want to check the tapes because I need to fact check this stuff, because a lot of people try to say that Trump had nothing to do with the lockdown and it was just the governors and he had nothing to do with it. We're going to fact check that in multiple different ways, but here's the other part outside of this before I play the clip. If President Trump came around like DeSantis did and say, hey, I regret doing that. You know, I regret locking down. I made a mistake. That's what DeSantis has said. He's like, I regret listening to Trump on the lockdown. Trump has never once said it wasn't a good idea. He's only doubled down, and he's proud of the lockdown. He's proud of what he did with Fauci and Birx. And he's also multiple times said it's not the governor's, it's his decision. So I'll show the proof of that without boring you to death. Let's just roll the clips, because people keep lying that Trump is just like mysteriously not responsible at all, even though he's the president of the United States. So let's watch the tape.
We did the right thing. We closed the country down.
Could have kept it open. And I could have done what some countries are doing. I had to shut it down, and we did the right thing. I thought of keeping it open.
And we did just the right thing. We closed it down. And a group of very smart people walk in and say, sir, we have to close it. And we did the right thing.
They can't do anything without the approval of the President of the United States. Even the Democrats aren't blaming me for that. We had to close it up. Some people wish we never closed it down.
We did the right thing. We closed it.
It's a decision for the President of the United States. We did the right thing. We had to close it up because nobody's ever heard of closing down a country, let alone the United States of America. We had to turn off the airlines. We had to turn off everything. And we did the right thing. A lot of people have thought about it. Write it out. Don't do anything. Just write it out and think of it as the flu. But it's not the flu. It's vicious. We basically shut down our country. We did the right thing. We had to close it down. The President of the United States calls the shots. And we had to close it down. We did the right thing. They're not working in offices. They're not in airplanes together.
And we did close up. We had to close it up, and we did the right thing.
We closed it down. We did the right thing. We closed it up. We were told to got to shut it down, stop it, tell everyone to stay home because of this horrible virus, and we did that.
We had to artificially close our country.
We've done this right, and we really have done this right. That we did the right thing. Everything we did was right.
That question, your doctors who are gathered here seem to be in doubt as to whether or not the country can reopen on May the 1st. If they come to you before May the 1st and say the country is not ready, or huge parts of the country are not ready to reopen on May the 1st, will you listen to them?
I listen to them about everything. I listen to them about everything. I listen to them about everything. I think they're actually surprised. I have great respect for these people.
So he said he would, on the phone, he told me he was going to come at me like I'd never seen, never in your life before have you seen the way in which I will come at you.
Trump said that. Awesome.
Yeah, he said.
I feel like
he also reminded me, which is true, he's more popular than me in Kentucky. And he said it would be the end of me. And I tried to tell him this was constitutional.
You have a very ambitious guy in California, but he's done a terrible job with the state. I used to get along great with him, when I was president. I got along really good, Gavin.
Well, you got along with Gavin Newsom?
I did. I really did. He was always very nice to me. He said the greatest things. He would say things like he's doing a great job. Oh, he was very nice.
About you?
About me. That's why I could never hit him, because he was so nice to me.
So Trump can never hit Gavin Newsom because Gavin Newsom's nice to him, but he tries to kick Thomas Massie out of the party for telling him the Constitution is the Constitution. This is the type of guy he is. This is an official tweet from Trump, by the way. I'm going to read this for those who think that he thinks he didn't lock the country down. This is Trump. He said, for the purpose of creating conflict and confusion, some in the fake news media are saying that it's the governor's decision to open up the states, not of the president of the United States or the federal government. Let it be fully understood that this is incorrect. It is the decision of the president, and for many good reasons. So Trump himself said, the fake news media is trying to say it's the decision of the governors to open up their states. And Trump says, that's not true. It's my decision. So either Trump's lying, which is possible. He does that often now. He might be lying. And he said, I have the power to keep these states locked down. And he was wrong and he lied. Or he's telling the truth and he's the lockdown king. I don't know. It's hard to tell. But all of those clips, the issue is that he's not even remotely unapologetic for it. For those who are new here, for those who need to hear it over, he was not, I think the narrative that people think, because Fauci was so visible and Dr. Birx was so visible, right? They were all over the television. The leading theme is like, oh, it was Fauci and like Dr. Let me just start with this actually before I get into that. When it came to the lockdown, Trump is proud of the lockdown. He's never apologized for the lockdown. And he said on multiple occasions that it was his decision to do it with the help of Fauci and Birx, not the governor. So that's what Trump says. On that note, with the vaccine too, I don't care what you think of the vaccine, but Trump also wants credit for the vaccine. This is not my opinion. This is not me hating. This is a fact. Listen to, 20 Trump interviews. Trump will say, I did it, don't give Fauci credit. Don't give the left credit. You're playing into their hands. Give me credit. I'm the father of the vaccine. I'm the one who rushed it. I'm the one who pushed it. I'm the one who did it. So Trump, to his base, he tries to tell them, give me credit for the vaccine. Trump desperately wants credit for the vaccine, right? But because people like him so much and they don't want to believe that he would be that stupid or evil, they just don't give him credit and they call it the Fauci vaccine. And Trump begs for credit for the vaccine. He said it at least 10 times. He says, don't give the left credit. Give me credit. I did it. I rushed it. Not even Fauci or the FDA. It was me. That's what Trump says, right? So I'm one of the only influencers that's not brainwashed or wine and dining at Mar-a-Lago every week. So I'm like, I've been lobbied like a politician. I'm able to speak freely about whatever I want. So I sit here and I say, well, Trump wants credit for the vaccine. Let me give him credit for the vaccine. And when I give Trump credit for the vaccine, people freak out at me. They're like, why are you blaming him for it? I'm not blaming him for it. He wants credit for it. He said it in every interview. You guys just ignore him. It's like a cult. It's like a psychotic, mentally ill movement where people are like, I don't want to give him what he wants. Okay, so you want to listen to your leader say, I did it, I rushed it, give me credit, don't give the left credit, don't give the Fauci credit, give me credit. And you want to listen to him and say, that's my leader, but no, I'm not going to give him credit because I don't listen to when he says things. Okay, so you just want to play make-believe, whatever. It's the same thing with the lockdown. He's on multiple occasions said that he was the reason that it locked down with the help of Birx and Fauci, not the governors. I'm not saying it's true, but that's what Trump says. So I don't know. I do think it's interesting that pretty much every Republican has apologized for the lockdown and knows it's wrong, except for Trump. He's the only one who's never apologized. Every Republican influencer I follow doesn't like the vaccine that much, but Trump does. So he's the leader of the Republican Party, yet he's the only one that's completely out of touch on this massive issue. I appreciate the fact that RFK Jr. is bringing this to light. I'm not going to vote for RFK. I don't even think I can. I'm not registered to that party, so I don't even think I have the option. Someone said he's not your friend. I'm not expecting him to be my friend. I've never met him. I do something called news analysis. I'm able to see through the pros and cons of people, talk honestly about it. I believe that politicians should be challenged. I mean, if you don't want to pay attention and you just want to be emotional and angry, hit the gym. You know what I'm saying? Take up mixed martial arts. But you still shouldn't be angry and emotional because you got to be calculated. So if you're going to come to my stream and be all upset, go find a hobby. You know what I'm saying? Start painting, calm down like Bob Ross. Go take on boxing or MMA. Use something with your energy. If you're going to come to politics and expect everyone to be your friend or worship someone, it's not the live stream for you. In fact, you're better off not even paying attention to politics. Go be a traditional farmer somewhere. That's true conservatism. If you want to watch my stream and pay attention to politics, I appreciate you. But let's just be honest. I don't think he's my friend. I never said he was. If RFK tells the truth about this, but then he pushes gun control, I'm able to be like, well, I really agree what RFK says about this, but I still don't agree with gun control. By the way, Donald Trump pushed red flag laws, not just bump stock bans. Trump actually said, I'll play the clip next stream, that he should take the guns first and bring people to court later. So whether Trump says that or RFK says that, I disagree with it. I don't think either of them is my friend. But if you're going to be so angry and just like you have to like love somebody or hate somebody, it's not the stream or the industry for you. You're just going to fall over your face like a hamster wheel spinning too fast. I don't think RFK is my best friend. I understand that there's certain policies with climate change and abortion and gun control that he's like a traditional left winger on. But, you know, we have to be honest. There's certain conversations that never come into the political mainframe, one of them being Monsanto and Pharma. Under Trump's administration, I'm not blaming him for it, but it happened under his term. Monsanto merged with Bayer because the Justice Department let it happen for whatever reason. I don't know. They looked at it and decided it wasn't a monopoly or whatever. I don't know how that stuff works, but one of the most insane, corrupt pharmaceutical well, I guess we'll start with Bayer, pharmaceutical industry from Germany, or pharmaceutical company, merged with Monsanto. I mean, that's the craziest merger in modern history when it comes to big food and big agriculture and big pharma. And nobody talks about it because the false paradigm of left and right, and you're mad at this person or that, or you think I think that person's my friend. These are conversations that never get brought up. So if RFK is going to stand on a stage in front of tens of millions of people with the internet, I'm not talking about in person, he doesn't have that big of crowds, but and say something like that, talk about Monsanto, talk about Bayer, talk about how the FDA and the HHS and all of these pharma swampers merging with food companies and pesticide companies and how nobody cares about it. Obama didn't care about it. Trump certainly didn't care about it. And that hurts people's feelings when I say that because they're so obsessed with Trump. They just can't embrace the fact that Trump didn't care. Trump hired a pharmacy swamper for HHS, for FDA. Trump took money from them. He said he'd never take their money. He lied to you. If you're going to continue to get kicked in the face by this guy and act like he is someone he's not, it's embarrassing at this point. I don't care, but it's your American right to get fooled. But then don't act like it's the left's fault. That's all I ask. It's like both sides of politics that get mad at each other are the same type of delusional. I did a tweet this morning and people were like, yo, that's a good point. I never thought of it. Let's start with the left. Like the left wing that just hates the right wing. They're like so mad at the right wing, but usually they're no, I'm not trying to be rude, but they're disheveled, they're disgusting. Like some of these left wing activists, the real activists they should be doing, or activism should be hitting the gym, working on themselves and, starting something where they're taking some sort of accountability. But they just hate the right, and they don't even realize that they're the problem on the left. You go to the right, all the people on the right that spend all day hating on the left, they think that Trump is giving them secret codes through NFTs, and when Trump hires vaccine lobbyists and pharma lobbyists and he does vaccine socialism, that he's secretly doing it to save the world. I'm sorry, but if you're going to call those left-wingers mentally ill because they don't know what gender they are, right-wingers are also mentally ill because they think they're getting secret codes through NFTs and, Trump is doing vaccine socialism to save you. That's another form of mental illness. If you can't look at somebody who hired a pharmacy lobbyist, got lobbied by Pfizer, put multiple swampers in their cabinet and sold out the American government to big pharma just like every other politician, if you can't address that and be like, wow, I really like Trump's personality and stuff, but he did do that. I mean, he's not an innocent victim to pharma. He hired swamp lobbyists and he's involved in all of this stuff on every level from executive order in 2019. Trump isn't a victim of Fauci. He's in on every level of the pharma corruption. If you can't look at that and you say, no, he hired pharmacy lobbyists, took money from Pfizer and made the vaccine industry $100 billion and did vaccine socialism by giving them $18 billion. Anomaly, he did that to save the world. You're just as mentally ill as the left winger. I'm just being honest. So that's why I don't get involved in these false paradigm fights, because the craziest, most insane lunatics on the left wing that fight with the crazies on the right wing, they're the same exact person and they both need to seek God and look internally. With that being said, I don't think RFK is my best friend. I just appreciate the fact that he's talking about the food industry, the pharmacy industry, pesticides, and the truth about the Trump administration, which is Trump sold out to the pharma swamp. Here's something I brought up earlier today, too, that people just don't understand because they're just like the left wing is brainwashed. And I should be a little more thoughtful when I say this because I tend to be a little rude sometimes. I apologize. I'm a little meaner to the right, even though I shouldn't be because they support me more. But I just think right wingers are stronger. So the reason I'm a little tougher on you if you're right wing is because I know you're not a soy boy and you're not a beta cuck. So I know you can handle it. You know what I'm saying? I got to baby everything I do to the left because they're little babies. You know what I'm saying? So take it as a compliment that I'm a little tougher on the right. I know that you're not a soy boy beta cuck that needs a soy latte before, and we got to sit down and talk about the rainbows. I'm a little tougher. With that being said, just like the left wing is caught in this like false world, they're literally brainwashed in a false reality and like nothing they believe is real. A lot of right-wingers don't want to really self-reflect and realize that a lot of what they've been taught is also a lie and a trap. For example, the Republican Party in no way, shape, or form is a victim to the 2020 election or a victim to the lockdown. They're not. I'm not saying it was fair or right, but this idea that Donald Trump is the victim to the 2020 election and the lockdown is a fabrication. Let me explain why. First of all, in 2016, when Trump won, Milo, Alex Jones, Julian Assange. I'm not saying you have to like Milo or like Alex Jones or like Julian Assange. You don't have to. But the truth is, without those three people and other supporters, Ann Coulter, others, I'm not saying you have to like Ann Coulter. I don't really. She's kind of funny sometimes, but sometimes I don't like her. Anyway, Trump won the election because of people like Julian Assange and Alex Jones. They had big influences on his election. They just did, right? What happens after Trump's election? Trump hires a bunch of people that want Julian Assange dead. So it's like he uses and sucks everything he can out of WikiLeaks and Julian Assange. And as soon as Trump gets in office, he leaves Julian Assange to die and acts like he doesn't know him. And people like Pompeo and Rick Grinnell hate Julian Assange's guts. When it comes to Alex Jones, when he got banned, no one cared. When Milo got banned, no one in the GOP cared. Here's the point that I'm trying to make. The Republican Party only cared about censorship when they got censored. And at that point, it's too late. That's why even if you disagree with some things Alex Jones says, you have to understand it's a slippery slope. But this is what the GOP did. They had power that you don't even remember. They had the House, the Senate, and and the presidency for 2 years. And you could say that Paul Ryan railroaded Donald Trump, but you could find a tweet after Paul Ryan stepped down of Donald Trump saying you did a great job, we're all with you, and your legacy can't be questioned. So that's another false paradigm that people made up, because if Trump really got railroaded by Paul Ryan, he could have said something when he stepped down. Instead, just like the Clintons, standing ovation. It's Trump's friend. Just like Gavin Newsom, I can't bash him because he likes me. Trump's friends with these people. Get over it, people. He's not fighting them. But whatever. Okay. So they had every branch, Senate, House, presidency, and their own supporters are getting banned off social media, and they do nothing. You know when Republicans started caring about censorship? When Jim Jordan got shadow banned, the phony wrestler guy or whatever that talks a lot but that never does anything. Jim Jordan's a great talker. I would listen to him if he was at like the Comedy Store, you know what I'm saying, doing a comedy routine. I would watch him. He's an interesting guy. As far as actually doing something, I don't see it. He definitely takes money from Google or whatever, but whatever. In general, they had power, and they left all their biggest supporters to dry, Julian Assange, Alex Jones, etc. So then when they start getting censored, it's too late. You know what I'm saying? I don't see them as the victim of that unless they were using their power for other people, but they didn't care about anyone else until it happened to them. Let's talk about the 2020 election. They're not the victims of the election. They signed the CARES Act. They locked the country down. They did vaccine socialism. What do you think happens when you give Big Pharma $18 billion? You think they're just going to have a party and leave you alone? No, you're going to get their product shoved down their throat, because it's like the GOP gave them a hammer to hit you in the head, and then the GOP said, well, we didn't hit them in the head. We just gave them the hammer and showed them how to hit you, but we didn't hit you. That's who the GOP is, including Trump. So long story short, I appreciate that RFK is being a little critical and being like, hey, Trump's been blamed for a lot of stuff that he didn't do. But one thing that he did do is the lockdown and all this pharma corruption. And here's the thing. If we want to build as a movement, I mean, if people get upset and stuff, I don't really care. Like, my life has meaning. You know what I'm saying? I have things that I'll do. I'm appreciative that what I say ages well. I'm not upset. I'm not mad. I'm not angry. Everybody has the right to lose. Everybody has the right to bash themselves in the head. Everyone has a right to trip over their own feet and run in circles. Republicans have been doing it for 20 years since the Afghanistan war. Democrats have been doing it for at least 10 years now. You have the right to do that. I'll be fine. Trust me, my life is fine. If I'm going to get involved in politics and talk about it, I have to speak the truth about it. If you don't want to hear it, or I get to a point where I don't actually want to talk about it, then I'll move on and ignore it, because most of the people ignoring politics are better off than the people tripping over their own feet and not able to even call out their own side. So I appreciate RFK for saying these things that need to be injected into the political conversation, because one way I'm trying to really frame it for everybody so everyone understands, the left wing controls the right wing, and even when you fight against them, you still live in their world. When you fight Biden versus Trump, it's such a watered down, stupid narrative. They're not talking about Monsanto. They're not talking about Bayer. They're not talking about the Federal Reserve. They're not talking about the bipartisan COVID corruption. They're not talking about all the stuff the Uniparty did to tank the economy. The conversation is like, Trump's a victim to Stormy Daniels, Alvin Bragg. The Democrats don't care if you talk about that for a year. It gets clicks to them. It gets fundraising to Donald Trump. That was the best thing that happened to the Trump campaign, no cap. If that didn't happen to the Trump campaign, he's neck and neck in the polls. Now he's skyrocketing 20 points. That's the best thing that ever happened to him. He even says it. He's like, wow, this is so great. I'm going up in the polls. They control the world you live in, so it doesn't matter what you talk about. You're talking about nothing. You're not talking about what's being sprayed. You're not talking about the quality of our food. You're not talking about anything. So this is why I like people like RFK. The speech that he just gave should hopefully crack people out of the false paradigm. Even the Trump versus DeSantis thing. I love a good iron sharpens iron, and please don't get mad. Maybe people will get mad at this, but as somebody who loved Trump so much before, and I appreciated him so much before, and I liked him more than RFK and DeSantis, RFK is coming and injecting something new into the political world that's very important. Conversations about big farm and big agriculture that nobody's having, that neither party cares about. Trump doesn't care, Biden doesn't care, Pompeo doesn't care, and all the people around him don't care. So we need someone to bring that into the conversation. I'm glad RFK is bringing it. DeSantis has done a 180 on the vaccines and the lockdowns. He admitted he was wrong. He hired a surgeon general who fights big pharma. I'm not trying to hold Trump's mistakes over his head forever. It's just they never end because he never admits he's wrong. Trump is like a big bully. He'd rather somebody lie to him and keep him close, and that's loyalty, than someone who tells him the truth like Thomas Massey. All you have to do, Vince says no one cares. Clearly you care, Vince, because you're here. It's like me going to a party, giving them $50 to get inside, and then I'm inside saying no one wants to be here. It's like, well, you just paid to get here. Anyway, I forget where I was because Vince interrupted me. But in general, I'm not trying to hold the mistakes that Trump made over his head. It's just he's the least honest person in politics right now. The only thing saving him is this victim mentality clown show. He has people running in circles talking about nothing, talking about him and talking about plots that are only helping him in the media. So why won't he just say that the lockdown was a mistake? He won't. So why should I trust him? You're getting upset. You're like a whack-a-mole, bro. Trump's going to boink you on the head 15 times and you're going to throw your money at him. And then he's going to take $1 million from Pfizer and care about that more than your money. And then you're going to not even want to admit that it's happening. Someone said, calm down. Could I possibly be more calm? Do you want me to do some meditation or something? I'm not even raising my voice. I'm literally talking. Here, let's do some meditate. I'll be like floating to nirvana and people will be telling me to calm down. I mean, if people want to get fooled, I don't understand why you don't just watch another channel. There's a bunch of literally do-nothing, low IQ grifters who literally sell merch and hang out at Mar-a-Lago every day. I'm not saying you can't sell merch. I'm just saying they're selling all Trump merch, and it's like they can't even afford to tell the truth because they're like a lobbyist now. But in general, there's like 1,000 channels that are telling you nothing in circles. Why would you come to my channel and expect like something basic and weird? The point I'm getting to is like RFK is telling the truth about the vaccine industry. DeSantis is actually doing something with his power and telling the truth about big pharma, and Trump just keeps lying about it. But Trump has such a cult-like following that people don't want the truth from Trump anymore. They just want the character of him. I'm over it. So thank you guys for the super chats. I'm going to watch the Fetterman interview for comedic purposes. But the theme of the live stream today was RFK running for president, saying a lot of interesting stuff, saying that Trump hired the big pharma swamp, which is 100% true. And people are so emotional. I know Ben Shapiro says facts don't care about their feelings. Okay. I like gold. But people are so emotional about the guy that they don't care. They don't care. He'll say, I won't take people's money, and then he'll take hundreds of millions of dollars, and people don't care. And then they'll look at DeSantis and be like, DeSantis took money. And it'll be like, yeah, and so did Trump. And then it'll be like, oh, you hate him. It's like, people got brainwashed. This is why self-accountability is so important. If you're a left-winger and you just hate the right every day, you're going to become what you hate. The left wing has become what they hate because they have no self-accountability and self-awareness. And a lot of people on the right have become just as dumb and fake as left just because they hate the left so much. They hate the left. I hate socialism. And I could point that the Republican Party did socialism in 2020. Lockdown is beyond socialism. It's borderline communism. Operation Warp Speed is a socialist scheme. Look up socialism. Look up Operation Warp Speed. You didn't buy it. It's not a free market. It's all government funded, government subsidized, and government bought. It's socialism. Wait, but you don't want to say it's bad, right? Because you like Trump. You're a socialist. So what's the point of spending so much time fighting left-wing socialists when you're literally a socialist? You're just a socialist with a MAGA hat. Put a red hat on Karl Marx and you'll say it's Ronald Reagan. This is why I don't fight with people anymore. If you want to fight with somebody, go find somebody on Twitter. There's probably some disgusting, degenerate left-winger who wants to yell at you. There's probably some delusional right-winger who's everything he hates in the left, and they're fighting with each other constantly like magnets because they're the exact same character flaw. One has red, one has blue, and they're just fighting, and they're both the same. They're both delusional. They're both dishonest. I don't care anymore. If you want to believe that socialism's cool because your guy did it, that's fine. If you want to believe that big pharma corruption's cool because your guy did it, that's fine. There's multiple options. Either, America wakes up and we actually have success, or America just gets fatter, stupider, and kids keep dying of pharmaceutical pills while Trump sells Johnson & Johnson shots on a stage and Joe Biden falls asleep and Fetterman's so brain dead that he can't even speak. If that's what people want, it's not ideal to me, but I'm at peace with it because it's like, what can you do? If America wants to shoot itself in the foot, it is what it is. There's a lot of land out here. You could always live in the woods or, self-sustain. So I would like to turn the country around. I would like to solve the issues and make America great again. But if people want to be like communists with a MAGA hat on because their guy did it, then that's fine. If left-wingers want to live in a city with crap all over the streets and poop and piss everywhere, and at least we have abortions, like, I don't want to live in that city. But if that's what San Francisco wants, who am I to stop you from having a bad time? So, is what it is. But yeah, I appreciate RFK for bringing intelligent, important conversation around Big Pharma into the political discussion. And most people appreciate him for that without fully worshiping him. But a lot of people that worship someone else, we won't say his name because it'll trigger the emotions in people. They don't understand that adults don't act like kindergartners at a lunchroom table asking Becky and Susie if they could sit with the cool kids. So they don't even understand that there are people who could look at like an Elon Musk or an RFK or a Trump or a DeSantis and just be honest about it. Be like, I like some things about him, but I dislike these things. The people that think that I think that RFK is my best friend are people that worship other politicians. So they're projecting the way that they act towards others into me, and they don't understand that there are something called adults that don't act like children. So something worth trying sometime. Speaking of an adult that is a child, here's John Fetterman stumbling, mumbling, and somebody get this guy some more help. I think he just got help. He needs more help. John Fetterman, I'm going to watch it until I can't anymore. I've only watched 10 seconds. This is in the dark. Let's see his return to Congress.
I call to this hearing of the U.S. Senate Subcommittee on Food and Nutrition, Specialty Crops, Organics, and Research to order. Chairwoman Stabenow. And Ranking Member Boozman, thank you so much for coming. I thank you for your leadership on this committee, and I look forward to working with you to pass a farm bill. A farm bill that works for small farmers, rural communities, and hungry Americans. I would also like to thank my ranking member, Senator Braun. And I look forward to working closely with you. SNAP is one of the most effective programs to fight hunger and poverty in the country.
I am 4-year-old kindergarten student. I learned to read with mommy and dada. I'm sorry. I understand the guy needs some help. Get the guy some help. He came into Congress because he beat Dr. Oz. And then he leaves for a couple weeks because he's depressed. He said he had depression. Depression is no joke in some people. I'm not downplaying depression and how hard it could be on somebody, but if you're depressed and it's like your first half a year in Congress, quit, bro. You're not made out for the job. Like, if you can't even do your job and you've only been there for half a year, it's time to retire, bro. The dude can't read. He can't talk. He reads like he's a dyslexic 4-year-old. Maybe he is dyslexic, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think he had a stroke, which is also no joke. But it's like, if you can't, he's in worse shape than Joe Biden. Dude, John Fetterman makes Joe Biden, I don't know who's smart, look like someone smarter. He makes Joe Biden look 35 years old. If you need some help, John, set up a GoFundMe, bro. GoFundMe. I'm retiring. I need to go get help. I need speech help. I need to learn how to read. I'm depressed. I need to get mental help. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not trying to make fun of him. Just go get help, dude. He needs help. Way worse than Joe Biden. He's so bad that he makes Biden look good. It's weird. Maybe that's the point. maybe that's why they put him there, because he's so pathetic that you're like, maybe Joe Biden's not. Like he makes Joe Biden look like cognizant. With that being said, here's my question for people. What's worse, a brainless oaf like John Fetterman or a shrewd, sly, evil, smooth politician? Right? What's worse? I don't know. Because people always say we need term limits. It might help, maybe, but also AOC is AOC better than Nancy Pelosi? Like, how do you scale evil? Is John Fetterman more evil than Chuck Schumer? What makes Chuck Schumer better? Because he could talk and walk and probably run faster than John Fetterman. John Fetterman will probably fall down like the block guy from Mario. You ever play Mario? There's those big block guys. They fall over. You jump on their back. I don't know. It's hard for me to tell which one's worse. Obviously, John Fetterman is incapable of being there, and I don't think he's going to last 2 years. But these people that are fully there are not really much better. It's like sometimes you'd rather have a brainless person. Maybe if he couldn't sign a bill, he might do better than a normal Democrat. Him not showing up to work makes him better. I don't know. So as sad as that guy is, I don't know. Someone said, how did Fetterman win? Well, here's the truth that people don't want to think of. As much as people make fun of Fetterman, rightfully so, the Republicans would do the same thing with a Republican. Imagine if there was a right-winger that was brain dead like John Fetterman. Exactly John Fetterman, except he sounded like PragerU or something. He memorized like Dave Rubin talking points. And then you had a left-winger who was like Dr. Oz, but, some celebrity that was like super far left-wing. You can say what you want, but damn well every Republican here would vote for the brain-dead right-wing Fetterman before they voted for the left-wing Oz. It's just true. So would I probably. If I had the two options and one looked like he could only read second grade, like he gets confused at Where's Waldo, even though there's no words. It's like, John, just point towards the guy. Just try to find the guy with the red and white sweater, dude. How do I read Where's Waldo? It's not a reading book, John. You just try to find him. Oh, where is Waldo? Well, that's the point of Where's Waldo, John. I can't tell you where he is or I'm going to ruin the book. You got to find him on yourself. I don't like this one. I'd vote for him if he were right-wing over a left-winger. We can make fun of it all we want, but everybody knows it's true. They're like, how can the left vote for someone that brain dead? The same way you would if he was right-wing and Dr. Oz was left-wing. I'm just saying. Everybody knows it. No one else says that. Speaking of everything that no one else says, people think I'm trying to be a contrarian to just be different. Like, oh, Anomaly's just saying that. It's not my fault that everybody's wrong all the time. Like, I'm not asking everybody to be wrong. I would enjoy it better if they were right. Let me give you another thing that almost everyone lied about in unison that was never true. The Bud Light situation with the stocks. Now, hear me out because I know there's going to be a comment. It's going to be like Gerald, you know what I'm saying, on Facebook, just freaking out at me from what I said 10 minutes ago. Calm down, Gerald. If your name is Gerald, I apologize. I have nothing against you. I just thought of a random name. The Bud Light stock was never that far down, and most conservative influencers were lying through their teeth about it, and it was never true last week, and it's not true this week, so let me explain it. They're like, oh, Bud Light stock is so far down. Oh, we're tanking them. Oh, no, you're not. I'm not saying it might not go down. Let me get into what I'm saying, but the stock was never down that far. It was down 2% one day, but if you scaled out the chart, like anybody who knows how to read stocks, it was up on the month. It's been up on 6 months. Bud Light, the Anheuser-Busch Bud Light stock is up like 40, 50, 60% on the year. It was up like 8, 9, 10% on the month, and it's even up on the week now. It was down like 1 or 2% one day in a day where all the stocks were down. When the market crashes, everything usually crashes in unison. You look at the thing, the stock was never hurting. It went down one day with every other stock, and every right-wing influence, they're so fake. This is why people are so brainwashed on the right wing, is everybody's so fake that they just like regurgitate their own shit, and then people come to my page and they've never heard it before because they just get lied to in unison. The Bud Light stock was never that far down. It was down 2% one day when the whole market was down, and it was up on the week, month, and year. And it's up today. It's higher than it was a week ago when they said it was so far down. It never crashed. There was no Bud Light crash. They all lied to you. With that being said, maybe one day it will crash. Maybe I think the boycott was a good thing because they issued an apology. But this is why these things are so good, because then you see what the truth is. And you know what? My Don Jr. Caitlyn Jenner video was like the most viewed podcast I had in a while. And the reason, I think, maybe it's because of the topic, but I think the reason is because when something like that happens, people start running back to my page, because even the people that don't like me are like, oh, Anomaly's been telling me this for 3 years and no one else has. So then they come back to my page like, oh, I know he's going to have a good take on it, because of course I will. Because when we all started boycotting Bud Light, I've been boycotting Bud Light since high school, so everybody just joined my boycott. I wasn't boycotting for their sexuality. I just thought it tasted like piss. But anyway, everyone started joining the boycott, and then Don Jr. and Caitlyn Jenner come out and say to stop boycotting because they figured out that it was their donor, and even the RNC. So what happened? The boycott was a good thing because it revealed that Republicans care more about donor money than they do about social issues, what part of the log cabin Republicans did you not understand? But anyway, moving forward, then when that all happened and everyone's like, I like Don Jr., but that's a little weird that him and Caitlyn Jenner are trying to stop the boycott, then everybody runs to my page because they know that Anomaly's been telling people that they've been taking donor money for the last 6 years. The Republican Party's been taking donor money for 50 years. Trump brainwashed people into thinking that he doesn't take donor money. He lied. He takes massive billionaire money. There's someone on the right who's passed now, but his wife's probably going to still donate. Sheldon and Miriam Adelson. They're like the right-wing George Soros. They spend hundreds of millions of dollars. In fact, in certain elections, they actually outspend George Soros. And hear me out, because there's a point to what I'm saying. Sheldon Adelson dumped over $100 million into the GOP. I think it was like $400 million into Trump and the GOP since 2016. This was like a 2020 article. $400 million this guy gives them, right? Trump said when he ran that he wouldn't take that Marco Rubio was going to be Sheldon Adelson's puppet and Trump doesn't need their money. Trump lied. He takes their money too. He takes billionaire money. He takes corporate money. He takes Pfizer money. He takes money. Okay? I'm sorry that everyone thinks he doesn't. He does. So when Don Jr. said that, it's not shocking because they've been doing that. They just don't tell you and nobody questions them. With that being said, when they say, well, Soros is funding local elections, well, why don't you fund local elections? Because you guys have donors just like Soros. You know what I'm saying? Soros has a lot of money. Yes, it's true. Soros funds a lot of things to basically change the world into how he sees it in a left-wing view. Yes, that's true. But the victim right-wing liars, they just sit there and say, oh, we don't know what to do. You raised billions of dollars. If he's only spending a couple million on a local election, you have that money too. Right-wingers have donors too. They just act like they don't because they don't actually want to solve the problem. They just want to complain about it and fundraise off it and create a false paradigm. That's my whole issue with all this stuff. And I'm blessed and I'm grateful that people come back after being mad for me for a year because everything that I say will usually age well. Peter said, shut up. You're on my live stream, bucko. Welcome to the Jordan Peterson podcast, bucko. Clean your room, bruh. Anyway, it's like, wait. Our guys want us to stop boycotting because of donor money? It's like, yeah. I saw a back and forth on Twitter today between like Dave Raboy, some Jewish conservative guy who really likes DeSantis, and then you have, what's his name? Richard Grenell, who is a gay Republican, I don't know, like log cabin Trump guy. Trump put him at one of the high, what was he, like national security advisor, Rick Grenell? Anyway, there's a reason I'm bringing this up. I'm not just trying to label these people. I'm just trying to paint the picture like Bob Ross with the audio. So Dave Raboy says something, and no offense, but I'm not like a huge fan of either of these guys, so I don't really have a bias, and I don't have a horse in this race. I'm just telling you what I saw. Dave Raboy brought up something of Ronna Romney McDaniel, who runs the RNC, and she was like doing something for Pride Month and like waving the Pride flag or saying we love the gay month, like Republicans are gay too, happy Pride Month. You know, like Ronna McDaniel did something stupid like that, right? Whatever. So Dave Raboy says, why why does the Republican Party pander so much like that? It's inauthentic and it's just weird and it's cringe. And then Rick Grinnell, the gay Trump guy, said, oh, he starts crying, you're homophobic, oh, you're so intolerant. And it's like, and then that gay guy that Trump hired was just painting the whole picture so wrong. I don't even like Dave Boy. Like, I'm not like a huge, oh, I really care what this guy says. I don't. It's just, he was specifically criticizing Ronna McDaniel for just overdoing the gay pride thing because it's just like a cringe virtue signal. It's like when every left-wing organization puts a pride flag in their thing in June and July, it's just annoying. And when the Republican Party does it too, it's equally as annoying because we're the same as the left. And that's all Dave Boy was saying. And the gay Trump guy, Richard Grinnell, was trying to basically say it's homophobic, you're intolerant. This is who the right is. They're just a gayer version of who the Democrats were 10 years ago. Take who the Democrats were 15 years ago, make it a little gayer, and that's the Republican Party. I'm not being hateful. I'm just being honest. It's like the same thing. You know what I'm saying? It's like that's what we're going to have an argument over. We're going to have, thank you, Robert, for the super chat. We're going to be calling each other homophobic and bigoted because we don't think Ronna McDaniel should do a Pride Month thing. Okay, then I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for being homophobic. Let's just paint the RNC rainbow flag. That's the only way to show love. We have to pander every July. It's so cringe. The right wing is so cringe. It's like they say they don't want socialism. They do socialism, and nobody knows they did socialism. And I say they did socialism, and I prove they did socialism. And people get mad at me for telling the truth because I'm shattering their little fake false paradigm illusion. This is the Republican Party. So it is what it is, but I just found that interesting. John Fetterman, get that guy some help. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of politicians who should probably leave Washington, but like the dude can't even read. It's really sad. RFK running. I'm glad to see him running. I'm glad to see people challenging Trump. In my view, I like challenges. We need challenges. We don't need Joe Biden and Donald Trump arguing on a stage at 80 years old. You fake news, You fake news. And Biden's like, yeah, come on, corn pop. I did the vaccine. And I did the vaccine. I'm the vaccine man. Oh, come on, corn pop. Come on, Jack. Yeah, everybody knows Fauci did the vaccine, Jack. You're just taking, listen, Joe Biden, it's fake news. I did the vaccine. It's like, I don't need that debate for 5 months. That's like, at that point, America should just like surrender to whatever country wants to take it over. If it's going to be Trump and Biden on stage arguing about who did the vaccine, it's like, who wants America? Just take it at that point, you know? And I'm not saying, I don't really want that to happen. I'm just saying, like, I want RFK to run and challenge Biden and Trump. I want DeSantis to run and challenge Biden and Trump and RFK. I want Rand Paul to run or to challenge these people. We need to make them work for our vote. And this is the fundamental difference. Then I'm going to read a few comments because a lot of people know if they've been watching. But this is the fundamental difference I have with people. I don't think Trump deserves another election without earning it. I don't think DeSantis deserves a nominee without earning it. And Biden doesn't deserve it. And RFK would need to earn it also. Why is this such a why am I so controversial? Do you know how fake and pathetic the conservative movement has gotten? I'm going to tell you. And I mean no disrespect to my friend Maria at InfoWars, and I mean no disrespect to Alex Jones. I'm just going to be honest. I get announced as a controversial person because I'm basically saying that Trump and DeSantis need to earn our vote and we need to hold our ground. But even InfoWars is like afraid to have me on because InfoWars has Roger Stone and Robert Barnes and their heads so far up Trump's ass. That's fine. I get why Roger Stone likes Trump. Trump bailed him out of jail. Why wouldn't you? Roger Stone makes sense to me. Robert Barnes, I don't know what he's doing, but I don't care. They're entitled to their vote and their opinion. But I'm more controversial than InfoWars now. Why am I, like, they're afraid to have me on now? They're like, oh, this really controversial. What's so controversial about what I'm saying? On a scale of InfoWars, I'm controversial because I'm not just, my head's not up Trump's ass and I'm telling your audience, like, both of them should earn our vote. That Trump brags about the vaccine and it would be wise if the conservative base just pushed back a little on the socialist stuff. If that's controversial, that just shows how pathetic our movement has become. And I already know. So, that's my fundamental difference with everybody is like, why do you want to roll out the red carpet? Why? Because Bragg did that thing. Like, what? Because Bragg did that thing? Now you need to just vote for Guy and know nothing mattered? Like, it's like John Fetterman level IQ thinking. People have every right to do that, but RFK, DeSantis, it's all good in my book. Challenge Trump. Let Trump challenge them. And I think what people are going to find is the more people challenge each other, I'm not talking about blackmail and personal attacks. I'm talking like policy, debate, at talking truth. You're going to see who's who, You'll see who's who. I think Jesse Kelly on Twitter said something very interesting, which I thought was true. And these are two different words, personal and personnel. Personnel meaning team, personal meaning what type of person you are. He said Trump is really good at personal and he's not good at personnel. And DeSantis is very good at personnel and he's not good at personal. And I think it's true. Like Trump as a person, he's very good with cultivating relationships. He calls people, he lobbies a lot. Like Trump is very good at maintaining relationships. You know what I'm saying? He's swallowed up the entire right-wing social media sphere. And he knows how to basically like socially, like he already said, if you don't endorse me, you're never getting a position in my cabinet. So every Republican politician, congressman, they're all afraid to disagree with him because then he's going to like blacklist them. But Trump's really good at maintaining personal relationships. DeSantis is the opposite. He's not doing good reach out like that, but I think he hires better. So I just thought that was an interesting choice of words by Jesse. And I was like, I do see that. There's, they both have different pros and cons. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section. I'm going to read a few comments. I like more competition and highlighting the honest things that RFK is doing is not total endorsement of everything else he says. Like, we need to start making these people compete with each other. But in my opinion, we get what we deserve. We're not victims. Americans are not victims. Trump supporters are not victims. You are not a victim. You get what you deserve. If you want people to show you the truth and work for your vote, they will. If you want to sit back and just say that you really like them and make excuses for socialism and vaccine communism because your guy did it or you think he didn't do it, then just stop complaining. You don't deserve freedom. If your line in the sand isn't 2020, then you don't deserve anything. I'm like, what? Everybody's so, entitled. Like, the Constitution was earned. The First Amendment at one point was earned. Now, when all that gets wiped away and Republicans are in power, but you don't even want to challenge the guy who was in office while he still brags about it, everyone else says it was a mistake except for Trump. He has never come out and said that the lockdowns are a mistake. He doesn't give a crap about you. Every Republican will say the lockdown was a mistake. It wasn't good. Not every Republican. I'm just talking about the good ones. Trump has never said the lockdown was a mistake. Do you know why? Because he doesn't think it was. Because he doesn't care. But if you don't care that he doesn't care, you don't deserve anything. You're not entitled to freedom. You think you're entitled to freedom because you wear a MAGA hat and watch Sean Hannity and just believe that it's going to happen? Like, this is the Republican movement now. And I'm not trying to blame everybody. I know there's tens of millions of people that are awake and aware, and it's going to be a real conversation when it comes to voting time. But in general, it's like, you just believe, so you deserve. Like, that's the people have been brainwashed into victim mentality. We got everything stolen from us. The country's stolen from us. The election got stolen from us. The vaccines. Your guy was in on all of that stuff. We were talking, I think it was behind the paywall on my Patreon with Bobby. You guys can watch. I have a secret episode for Twitter supporters, Patreon supporters, and Facebook supporters. But with the Epstein thing, it's like when Epstein disappeared, they could have put certain cameras or certain personnel there. The Republicans don't care, just like the Democrats don't care. If that didn't wake you up to these people don't care that much, it is what it is, Oh, they had the most high-profile pedophile blackmail guy in the world in a secret facility, and they couldn't put a few extra cameras or a few personnel there. They couldn't even get a read on it, and then the story disappeared in 2 weeks. You still you think those people that couldn't even put an extra couple people, FBI, CIA, whatever, a couple cameras, they couldn't even put that in the Epstein place? You think they gave a shit about the election? You think they tried their hardest to make it fair and they couldn't put a few? These people don't care. They're just brainwashing you to play the victim. We're the victim of the lockdown that we started. We're the victim of the socialism that we were in on. We're the victim of the vaccines that we funded. We're the victim of the election that we sabotaged with the CARES Act. That's the entire Republican Trump narrative right now. You're the victim of 9 out of 10 things that he did. But he has no accountability. He's not sorry for the lockdown. He's not sorry for Operation Warp Speed. He's never once told the truth about those vaccines. He just constantly doubles down on the lie. Maybe one time he told the truth when he said Pfizer seems like they have money in their eyes. And this is the movement that thinks they deserve freedom and liberty. It's a joke. The right-wing movement's become a joke. I have no problem doing comedy. I don't care if people get a little upset, like whatever. I just actually want the things that Republicans claim to want. So it's like either we're going to stand firm in our values and actually get it, or we're just going to act like clowns and follow someone in circles that cries on a social media he invented every day 15 times about people that he hired. It's an absolute clown show. People have every right to follow that in circles. I'm just not interested. I don't think we deserve all these things. I'm not entitled. If our line in the sand is not 2020, and we don't want to hold these people accountable and draw the line, you don't deserve anything, you know? Just stop crying about it then. Just be like, yeah, no, I know, I'm going to lose everything. Like, it's the line in the sand. And when I say that, people misconstrue it as if I don't want to do this for everything else. Well, they're like, well, DeSantis did this. Good. Call him out. That's what you're supposed to do. Well, RFK's bad on the Second Amendment. Yeah. And you deserve to challenge him. If he somehow beats Joe Biden in the Democratic primary, you have to tell him, I'm not voting for someone taking my gun. So, figure out a better policy or lose my vote. That's called not being a total pushover. It's what Americans used to be when our ancestors and founding fathers actually made a country that works. That's why it used to work. The biggest cop-out ever is it's just the left's fault. Like right-wingers never did anything wrong. It's just all the left. Well, how did they get power? Someone said Anomaly chose to lie about the Bud Light stock. What a tragic way to crash and burn. Well, let's just look it up right now. I'm sorry that right-wing influencers brainwashed you to think that you beat Bud Light so hard in the stock market. I'm not saying it's not going to hurt them long-term, possibly, but let's look at Budweiser. Let's see. In 5 days, it's up 2%. In a month, it's up 9%. In 6 months, it's up 45%, and year to date, it's up 10%. Wow, you're really tanking the Bud Light stock. I'm going to read that again. In 1 day, the Bud Light stock is up 2.5%. In 5 days, it's up 2.8%. In 1 month, it's up 9.19%. And in 6 months, the Bud Light stock is up a whopping 45.85%. And you could find bigger dips on that scale that it had when there was no protest. The dip that it had because of the... I'm not saying it's not a good idea to boycott it. That's Caitlyn Jenner and Don Jr. telling you to stop the boycott, not me. I think you're sending a message, but you should have stopped drinking a long time ago as a comedic thing. But anyway, it's just the truth. This is how, and I'm not trying to just blame this guy, but this is how delusional people are. They just want to hear somebody lie and say what they want to hear. So you go on Instagram and they're like, hey guys, we're really beating the left. We really crushed the stock. And everyone's like, we're really beating the left, guys. We're crashing the stocks. And it's like, you're actually not, though. That's not ever true. It went down a couple percentage points in 1 day when the market was down. I own stocks. I watch the stock market. I check frequently. That day, the stocks were down. So it wasn't like Bud Light was down 10% or 7%. It was down like 2.5 or 2% when the whole market was in the red. That's nothing. But if you want to follow some idiot that'll tell you a lot, this is what the movement has become. Wow, because you make fun of the left all day, you're so great. You are the left. I'll wait. I hope there are some, because there's got to be a few. Name one other influencer that has told you that Donald Trump and the Republican Party printed $6 trillion in 2020 and they led to inflation. They tanked the economy. That Operation Warp Speed was socialism. Anybody who makes excuses for Operation Warp Speed, They're not a capitalist. That's the most evil form of socialism. This is not socialism for the people. This is not socialism for you. This is socialism for one of the most evil, corrupt industries in the world that does not need government money and socialism. And that's what Trump did. I can't even think of 3 influencers that call that what it is. It's socialism. David Knight, exactly. Barricade Garage, exactly. Jesse Kelly said it, sure. He seems like he's got it. 95% of conservative influencers won't say that. So what are they? They're leftists. They're socialists with a MAGA hat on. They're Trump socialists. And what do they do all day, guys? They fight the left, but they are the left. Do you get why I don't fight with these people? Do you get why I'm never in these personal beefs? Do you get why I just ignore these people? Do you get why I say what I say? Do you get why I disagree with them? Because they are what they claim to hate. At this point, they're controlled opposition, and I'm not saying they even know it. They probably don't even know it. They're probably just so filled with greed and ego and, you know what I'm saying, to some extent, gluttony. They got everything they want. They eat steaks at Mar-a-Lago with Trump every day. They don't give a shit. And I'll tell you 2 stories. One I told in more length behind the paywall on Patreon and Facebook. Thank you guys for supporting. But I'm going to tell part of it again because it's worth referring to. I've met a lot of these influencers that never say anything behind closed doors. They all know. They all know when Trump and DeSantis infringed on the First Amendment like they both did in 2019, and I covered it exclusively and a lot, they all know. They're not just like you think Trump's dumb when he takes Pharma money. He's not stupid. Trump is not an idiot. He's playing politics, and he took the money, and he did what politicians do. He's not dumb. Same with these influencers. They're not stupid. They know everything I know. They just are politicians. Well, it would be better for my bank account and my personal circle to just quiet, because if you ever criticize anti-Semitism speech laws, you have no place in the Republican Party because all their biggest donors are individuals who just so happen to want to infringe on the First Amendment and give all our money to a foreign country. So they know what I know. I know that they know what I know, guys. You think they just don't know, or they're telling you that they all know. They just don't give a shit. Another one was I was at an event, and, you know, one of these organizations, somebody from it, I told it more accurately behind the paywall, but, you know, they were talking to me and be like, hey, Anomaly, and the second some guy comes up, I kid you not, when I'm at one of these Republican events I was speaking at, they said, oh my gosh, that's a donor, gotta go, and they sprinted away from me. They sprinted towards the donor. I'm not even exaggerating. I'm not doing this just to be funny or interesting. Like, this is how much these people are on the nuts of the donors. It's like, hey, Anomaly, man, I haven't seen you in a long time. Oh my gosh, there's a donor. The dude looked like Usain Bolt riding a cheetah. I'd never seen somebody run so fast. It's like, oh my gosh, there's a donor. That's where I get the money. Like, and the donor was with some hot chick or something coming out of a nice car. You know what I'm saying? Like, kind of busy. Just, hey, how you doing? How you doing? like almost like it was so over exaggerated, like it was out of a movie. And then these people stand on the stage and say, we care about the first. They don't give a crap, guys. Come on. I've seen it. It's okay. You know, get the money, whatever, but I'm just trying to let people know. Someone said, stop talking shit. I didn't even name a name, Peter. Peter, what are you mad at? You're mad that I'm telling a story without revealing any name of a person, respectfully? You're mad that I'm telling a story about someone who's literally sprinted away to me to run to a donor. You're mad at that, yeah? Why does that bother you, Peter? Let me know. Let me know why that bothers you. That really gets under your skin. Why? Do you think I would do that? Do you think I would sprint away from a conversation with someone to run into the hands of a donor? I wouldn't, because it's kind of hilarious. But it's just a weird thing to be mad at. I'm Tash. You're not even spelling it. Why would that make you mad, though? I don't understand. I really don't. Someone said, so you're a leftist, so you sound like it? Here, no, Shelly, I'll break it down really simply, okay? I believe in what the Republican Party pretends to believe, and they're lying to you. We're going to do it slow, Shelly, okay? Capitalism is when the government doesn't just give money to corporations and people. Capitalism is when people compete for it. During Trump's administration, Shelly, are you following? When the country locked down, Donald Trump printed trillions of dollars, which was even more money than Obama has ever even printed. More money was printed in 2020 than any year on record before that. And then Donald Trump gave $18 billion to Big Pharma, Shelley. That's socialism. It's not free market. It's not capitalism. It's not conservatism. Trump became a socialist. And since I actually believe what you pretend to believe, I said, wait, isn't that socialism? And then people look at me with cross eyes and say, are you a liberal? No, you're a liberal. Not saying you, but if you don't believe in free market capitalism, then just call yourself a Trump socialist and say, I'm more left-wing than Anomaly on every policy, economically and conservative and socially, but I just like that guy, so I don't want to talk about it. Just be honest about it. It's not a big deal. Just be like, listen, Anomaly's more right-wing and conservative than me, fiscally, economically, socially, but I'm going to call him a liberal because I'm so obsessed with a guy who gives vaccines socialist money that I don't actually care about the values I claim to care about. When Trump infringes on the Second Amendment and does a bump stock ban and says that he should, I believe the quote was like, take the gun first and go to court second. Well, he just infringed on the Second Amendment. I don't believe in that. So he's more left-wing than me. The First Amendment, Trump and DeSantis passed anti-Semitism hate speech laws for their donors, and I'm one of the few who called it out because I'm not controlled or lobbied by their donors, and I actually believe in the First Amendment. So on all of these issues, I'm further right than Donald Trump. It's just, how does that make me liberal? Peter said you're a fraud. You spelled "you're" wrong again, Peter. It's okay. What part of what I'm saying are you mad about? Someone said, oh my gosh, stop with the divides. I follow Anomaly because he's the closest to neutral and caring you can get. I'm caring. I have my own perspectives, but certain things are just, it's just not true. I don't know. Like, I guess a lot of Republican influencers are very inflammatory, like as if you keep, all right, I'm going to ban you, Peter, because you keep, it's okay, brother. You keep trying to say you're trash, but you're spelling it wrong. And it's just getting weird because it's like, it's twice here. I'm going to just ban you because you're distracting me. But anyway, hold on one second. Pure Tash. All right. Let me see. Hide this user from channel. All right. Sorry, bro. It was getting distracting. Someone said, I love Anomaly, but I'd like to hear names. Sellouts don't deserve it. Honestly, I don't even remember the person's name. And it's not... People have the right to take donor money if they want to. I'm not in politics. I'm not doing that. But I'm not that type of person. I want people to hang out with me and know it's not a show. You know what I'm saying? But if you're like doing really terrible stuff, then it's one thing. But just running to a donor, like, it's just funny. I forget what I was going to say. Anyway, those accounts are bots. I mean, it's something. Oh, I remember what I was saying. A lot of people have to understand at this point, I could act like I'm on the fence. It's probably better to like get people over. I'm not. I'm a registered Republican. I agree with them mostly, but the reason I don't like most Republicans is because they don't even believe what they say. It's all just a stupid show. But in general, most people think that most Republican influencers are more Republican than me because they're more annoying than me and they're more inflammatory than me. But they don't even actually believe in their principles, so they're doing the worst of both worlds. Like, if you're going to be super inflammatory and super in your face and super annoying, then at least be super, super conservative, like a pastor who gives no lines in the Bible. I could respect that. But people are so lost in this movement now because most influencers are annoying. I don't even like them, and I agree with a lot of what they're saying. They're annoying. They're inflammatory. They're really just there to piss off the left wing because they're such annoying people that they even annoy people on their side. So people think, well, that person's loud, and that person's abrasive, and that person's rude, and that person's really, really in your face. So they must be a real patriot because they wear a cowboy hat and they scream on Instagram. And a lot of those people have no principles. So they're the worst of both worlds. They're everything bad about somebody who actually goes hard in the paint, but they act like a cowboy, like as if they really believe all this stuff, but they don't. So it's like, either if you're going to be a fence sitter or whatever, at least be chill and be like a passing point for people where they could come in, listen to you, learn some stuff, and then move on. or be hardcore, but be about it and really believe what you say. But most Republican influencers act like they're so loud and stuff, but they're annoying. It's like they only exist to make people left wing. Like people left wing look at their page and they're like, yo, I would never want to be like this person. And then they go become a liberal because they just hate that person. So people look at me and they think that I'm so neutral per se. It's like, yes, I try to be fair, objective, honest. I'm not saying I'm not, but if you look like they'll be like, oh, Anomaly's a liberal because of how I talk and act. No, I'm just not annoying and I'm not fake and I'm not in a lot of cases as loud and inflammatory as these people. So you just take it as like Anomaly can be chiller, so he must be more left. No, in many ways, I'm more principled than these people in almost every way. I just don't act crazy annoying. And maybe that's why I like DeSantis a little more than Trump right now, is just because DeSantis, in my opinion, is just as conservative as Trump on every topic except more. He just doesn't act like it, and he just does it. I don't trust DeSantis because I think that Trump and DeSantis are sold out to the same people. And I think if DeSantis takes the big donor money, he's likely to cave just like Trump did. And even if he has good intentions, it's hard to do it. So I'm skeptical of DeSantis, but it's like, to me, Trump is, this is like the movement now is like everyone wants to just act annoying and like only appeal to their side, which is a terrible move if you're trying to actually gain people's understanding. But they're not even really about what they're saying. So it's like the worst of both worlds. Like either be smooth and calculated or loud and do it. Don't be loud and not do it. That's like the Trump way. Just be loud, wave your hands, and then not doing anything. So then you're pushing people away, but you're not even getting the stuff done. If you're going to say build a wall, build the whole wall. If you're going to say, get rid of the DACA people, then get rid of them. You know what I'm saying? I know some people, oh, they're nice kids. I'm sure a lot are, but it's like either that's your policy or not. Like you've flailed your arms and for 2 years, like either don't talk about it or talk about it and do it. Trump will talk about something, then cave on it. Then it's like, you get what I'm saying? It's just a little weird at this point to me. Cowboy Bear said left wing, right wing, all the same bird picking at the corpse of the middle class. It be a selection since 1914. Was that when the Federal Reserve was created? Yeah, I mean, that's what RFK was saying about the lockdown too. And Thomas Massey says, I'm not saying this to be repetitive or annoying. If the Republican base, if you care about politics, if not, I'll do more comedy videos. I'm getting into MMA and stuff. I know people don't care that much about that on here. That's fine. It's a different crowd. But in general, it's like, if you don't care about politics and you just want to hang out, have fun, I love to have fun. If we do care about politics and we're going to be like, in this world, then we have to talk about this stuff. If the Republican understanding of how the economy is doing so bad is Biden did a bad job and Trump will do a better job, this is delusional. And I know some people are going to listen to this now and be like, whoa, what do you mean by that? The amount of money that Trump, McConnell, and Pelosi signed off on, and Schumer and all those losers, the economy was going to tank. This is a bipartisan execution of the middle class. Trump is in on it. And people have Stockholm syndrome, like, oh, he'll save us from the Biden economy. It's not the Biden economy. It's the Biden/Trump economy. They're both in on it. If Trump won and all Republicans won, we'd still be seeing inflation. We'd still be seeing problems, maybe to a slightly lesser percentage, but it's still coming. Look all around the world, no matter if a Democrat's there, a Republican's there, a liberal's there, a conservative's there, Bolsonaro's there, this person's there. It doesn't matter. Inflation's going on everywhere. Do you know why? Because everyone in the world shut their country down besides a few countries, and everyone printed money. It doesn't matter if Trump's there. If he's doing socialism and communism, the chickens are going to come home to roost. So the biggest lie that the Republicans are telling, rightfully so, it's a smart marketing campaign. It's good. I hope they win the election because of it. It's a good line that's catching on, but they're telling everybody that Biden ruined the economy and Trump had a great economy. It's fake history. Trump had a great economy for 3 years, and then he tanked the economy harder than anyone's ever tanked the economy in modern history, and did more socialism than Obama, printed more money than Karl Marx could even fathom, and then did vaccine socialism for the most corrupt industry, and has never once apologized for any single thing that he does, because he doesn't give a shit about you, the economy, or anything. He cares about his own power and status. So if people can't admit what I just said, there's no point of even paying attention to politics. Just find a hobby, hang out with the people you love, and enjoy your life, because nothing's going to change. So these are two ways that it could go. But at the end of the day, you can't just keep tripping over your feet and not wanting to admit that. If your line in the sand is not 2020 and you think it's only Democrats and Biden, the joke will be on you soon enough. We'll see what the next couple of years bring. I'm not pessimistic. You know, there was a time when it didn't matter if a Democrat or a Republican was there. The economy was good. You know, George Bush, Clinton, Bush, like there's a crash. Then there's someone that like things always go in cycles. It's all good. I'm not pessimistic. I'm just saying we've put in too much work to come up short, in my opinion. Someone said I can agree. Interesting points. Thank you, Gina. I appreciate it. And I could be a little nicer. I know sometimes I'm a little, you know, the energy could be different depending on the day. Sometimes we're laughing more. Sometimes we're arguing more. But the thing is, the reason what I'm saying is so hard for a lot of people to process, I'm actually compassionate about why. I know why people can't process what I'm saying. It's because I'm not going to say no one, there's very few people saying it. I would say less than 5% of conservative leaning influencers will say what I just said. So when I say it, people have had 2 years of people saying something else. So it's hard to fathom what I'm saying because you've heard the opposite so much. You got people saying only Biden did it. You have people saying Trump did socialism with Big Pharma and took their money to save the world. You got people saying that his NFTs, he got hacked. You got other people saying that there's a secret code in his NFT, and if you pay attention to pathological liars enough, you'll arrest the Guantanamo Bay Chrissy Teigen. So people are scrambled. I could be a little nicer for sure. It's just like sometimes I joke about it, sometimes I don't. Someone said, hate to break it to you, but Christianity was scripted for world domination. The Messiah you're waiting on will be given to you by them. I mean, everybody has their own opinion about religion. I don't see it that way, but also I do think that religious people have to be aware of a false Messiah, of a false deception. You know what I'm saying? There's definitely a lot of trickery going on in religion. There's no question about it. So I like the spirit of it and the word of it. But as far as the organization of it in the world, there's a lot of characters that I'm not really sure who they are, like the Dalai Lama and the Pope, etc. But, to each their own. Battle Elf said Anomaly did it for the shekels. I did what for the shekels, Battle Elf? What did I do for it? Someone said the Antichrist comes first. Yeah, I guess it's just like everybody, a point that everyone could agree on would be like, there's going to be a deception of somebody, like that's the hero or that's the villain, and then it's not going to be. So even Christians will debate who the Antichrist is. Me, I'm not trying to be like, oh, it's Elon Musk, it's Donald Trump, it's Biden. Like everyone has an opinion. It's like, I'm going to just sit back and observe. I'm not going to like accuse somebody of being like the Antichrist. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Is it Bill Gates? Is it this person? It's like, I don't know. Do you want me to pretend like I know? I probably shouldn't. I don't think that's very biblical to be like a false prophet of sorts. So, I would say just keep your eyes out, but everyone's got an opinion, of what's the mark of the beast and what's this. Super chat didn't show. It might have. I don't see them all. I'm sorry. Anomaly versus Sean O'Malley 2024. Are you talking in a fight? Sean O'Malley would whoop me, dude. He's a professional fighter who's about to fight for the belt soon, probably. I could fight, but I can't fight a top MMA guy. I'm bigger than him, but it's not going to matter if he knows like jiu-jitsu and stuff. Let's see. Someone said it's scripted like WWE. They're trying to force it organically. The best thing I could say is they know how to move pieces on the board. You get what I'm saying? So if everyone's so predictable, it's easy for them to move pieces on the board. You see it with the narrative around Trump, and I'm not saying he's in on it, but the reason he becomes in on it is because he just plays in that field. Like there's 1,000 things you could talk about. There's a million things going on in the world, and they catch everyone in this narrative. It's Russia collusion. Either you think Donald Trump's working with Russia or Trump's the victim of Russia. And for 3 years, everyone talked about it. And even at that time, I told people and I warned people, defend Trump, tell the truth, don't ignore it, but I talked about it like 2 or 3 times. You know what I'm saying? I got everything I needed to say about Russia collusion. I put together great compilations. I showed the truth, and I said, here it is. And then I got to move on to other topics because we can't just sit and talk about this specific topic for 3 years. And most influencers, that's what they did. They talked about that topic for 3 years. So even if they were technically right, defending their guy, that was the thing. If the left is saying Trump's working with Russia and the right is saying Trump's not working with Russia, no one's paying attention to his cabinet. 9 out of 10 Trump supporters probably didn't even realize he hired Mitch McConnell's wife for the Secretary of Transportation. 9 out of 10 Trump supporters, including myself, who liked him, wouldn't identify the fact that he hired a pharmacy lobbyist. Like, these are conversations that don't come up. And as they're making us like a cat with a laser looking at the Russia collusion, defending him, attacking him, whatever side you were on, left wing or right wing, they're rolling out the way for the 2020 situation. They're putting in pharmacy lobbyists. They're signing executive orders. They're doing a lot of stuff, and no one's talking about it because it's not a conversation that's had. And I'm not saying I didn't make a mistake. I've made many. I just don't want to repeat certain mistakes again. And that's all I ask for in Trump. If he's unapologetic about the lockdowns or Operation Warp Speed, it's not a question of should I trust him. I don't trust him, and you're crazy if you do. If Trump said, in hindsight, I shouldn't have locked the country down and signed the CARES Act because that was like me digging my own grave for the election also, and I screwed over the country and the economy, but I learned now. Then it's like, all right, he learned a lesson, but he's never won. I mean, even DeSantis apologized for it. Trump hasn't. So it's not about, oh, you got to hold something over my head or you hit someone's head for 5 years. It's, imagine if I said, no, let's just talk about nothing for 10 years and that's just what we do. Then it's like, you didn't learn. And even back then, I didn't talk about Russia collusion that much. But in general, it's like this game of defending Trump from the left, that's the game. It gets the left and the right distracted and no one's getting deeper. No one's getting to things that actually matter. I get the game now. That's why when someone said Anomaly's definitely autistic, I appreciate the compliment. I don't think I am, but I might be. The reason I bop a lot is because I'm on a sitting chair and I might be autistic. I don't know. No, I'm just kidding. But, shout out to all the autists out there. One man's, this is another man's this. But no, I have like a knee chair where I'm like kind of like, it's better for your posture. So I kind of bounce a lot. But when the Alvin Bragg thing came out, the first thing I thought, because I've already seen this, like it's like if you watch WWE enough, they're changing the plot, but you start to learn things. You're like, all right, that this is gonna happen. I've seen 10 seasons. Like I know how they do it. So anybody who's been watching politics enough, when they did the Alvin Bragg thing, I'm not saying I don't feel bad for Trump, but the first thing I'm thinking is like, oh, this is perfect. It's going to make Trump the victim again. He's going to get money. They're going to get money. And now this is the whole thing. No one's talking about everything that we were talking about. Because really, right-wingers were starting to unite. Honestly, Trump was starting to get even with losing in some polls because people were like, listen, I don't hate Trump or anything, but we have to have accountability for Big Pharma. We're seeing through the deception. And this is a conversation, this narrative about Big Pharma. Trump is not really in this conversation. DeSantis is in this conversation. Joseph Latipo's in this conversation. RFK's in this conversation. Dr. Shiva's in this conversation. Del Bigtree's in this conversation. Millions of people are in this conversation. Candace Owens is in this conversation. Even Ben Shapiro admitted he was wrong and joined the conversation. This is a conversation that everybody's thinking about getting getting justice for what happened in 2020. And Trump is the only Republican that's not in on it because he is in on it. So he can't be in on the solution because he was the problem. So he just doubles down on the lie. Everyone was starting to realize that and be like, well, this is a little weird. And then as soon as the Alvin Bragg thing came out, no one's talking about it. All the progress that we made, it's wiped away. Now he's the victim. Now he gets the money. Now he thumbprints Mar-a-Lago and all your favorite influencers are at Mar-a-Lago waiting for him to, oh my gosh. And then he's selling $50, face on it, got arrested t-shirts. And then the left wing is getting more clicks. And now there's this story. And now we got to talk about Stormy Daniels for 1.5 years. And he's innocent. He's guilty. He's right. He's wrong. He's left. He's right. And that's the narrative. No one's talking about the food we're eating, the water we're drinking, the air we're breathing, what Big Pharma just did to us, how both parties printed trillions of dollars, how Trump never has apologized for any of the vaccines or the lockdowns, any part of it. He doesn't care. But that doesn't matter because you can't talk about that now because he's the victim and you're a bad person if you even bring that up. Like, this is how the narrative changed overnight. I watched people that were like, yo, I'm starting to like DeSantis. Overnight, they said, I got to vote for Trump. I don't care if you like Trump more than DeSantis, but if your reasoning for saying the reason I have to vote for Trump is because of Alvin Bragg, I mean, they got you. That's how easy it is to switch someone's mind. That's the only thing that changes, that, oh, the left did something to him, so that must mean. It's like, dude, the elites have a field day with manipulating the sides. You know, it's like when there's a race tragedy or a school shooting, you know, like, it's going to be a thing. Everybody's going to be sharing things. And, you know, it's like the left knows how to hop on certain tragedies and the right knows how to hop on certain tragedies. It's, you know, they're very, as crazy as these people are, they're very masterful at manipulating public perception. The left, some of them are stupid, but a lot of the people that are really running the show, they're master manipulators. They're evil geniuses. They're not dumb. It's like, they know how to get independents and moderates. They know how to push a narrative. Like, here's George Floyd. Dude, the George Floyd thing probably cost right-wingers the election, even though it shouldn't have. George Floyd died in a Democrat city with a Democrat mayor. You know, it had nothing to do with Republicans, but Democrats are master manipulators. They knew how to paint a certain narrative around George Floyd, make everybody burn down the businesses that were already getting beaten down by the government, and paint it as you need to vote against Trump because then you're going to fight the racists. And whether people realize it or not, that really woke up a lot of people. Or put them to sleep. Woke, not awake. Whatever you want to say, but it's like people that aren't going to vote be like, I'm got to vote for that person. And then it worked on the other side too. I know some people that were kind of left wing and then their city got burned down and they lived there. So then they like became more right wing. So some people woke up, but you know, it's like the left knows how to do that. So to me, that's what the right's doing with this whole Bragg thing. It's like, to me, this is, I'm not saying he wants it, but this is the best thing that's ever happened to him. He had not really a good angle or narrative and he was tanking, and now he just went up more, you know? So I kind of see it outside of the thing of like, it's interesting. Why is somebody yelling at me about George Floyd? I'm not trying to have a George Floyd debate with you and defend the guy's character and life. I'm just saying that event was used to manipulate the election. That's what I'm saying. Why are you yelling at me? Maybe you just like to type in all caps and I perceive it as you yelling at me. Maybe you're just excited, but it's like, I'm not George Floyd's lawyer and I'm not Al Sharpton. So I don't know. You don't got to yell at me. I'm just trying to say that event was used to manipulate public perception and change the course of an election, as were the lockdowns and the ballots and all the social media apps. And I'm going to end on this note. We've been talking about this a lot. It's called a solution, because when people, no one does this anymore. Thank you guys. Appreciate you guys. We must have scared all the people that always would like, do you guys remember like 6 months ago to a year ago, whenever I'd say something people didn't want to hear, they'd be like, so what's the solution? So what's the solution? And I'm like, okay. So now it's like the solution is, let's look at all these issues and try to fix them and not just flail our arms with it. But that's why, you know, that's why I'm so sussed out by Trump, because it's like I look at the lockdown and think, if I was him, even if I did what I did, I would understand that my actions also kind of screwed up the election for me on multiple levels. But the main one being the CARES Act and all of the money that was doled out to all the blue states for a year so they can have the money and resources to lock down their state. Trump gave them everything they needed to do whatever they needed to do. And when Gavin Newsom was treating me like a captured prisoner, Trump was giving him a thumbs up. In fact, I have the article with me. I didn't print it out, but he said he made a friend with Gavin Newsom and that he was doing a great job in California. So as Democrats were plotting their lockdown and plotting what would lead to a squirrely election, Trump was giving him a thumbs up. So all I'm saying is the solution is we have to admit that we did that so we don't do it again on every level. That's why I'm so opposed to certain things. It's not to like bash them or beat a dead horse. It's just like, if we don't address these things, they're going to keep happening. This is the easiest example I could give. People tell Black Americans all the time in the hood, in low income areas, in nice areas, whatever. They tell everyone, LeBron James, they tell them, don't play the victim. You're not a victim. Pull yourself up by your own bootstraps and start acting right. Because if you don't, then the same bad things are going to keep happening to you on loop, and it's nobody's fault. This is the narrative that Thomas Sowell, Republicans, and conservatives tell Black America all the time. It's not bad advice. It's harsh, but it's not bad advice. Use that advice for yourself. You're not the victim. How are we going to solve all these things if we won't even admit that we're in on them? It's the same sort of dynamic. Yeah, these people can do better, but we could also do better. Yes, the system's corrupt, but we could also raise ourselves and build ourselves up. It's the same sort of vibes. Trump's got everyone running around with their chicken like their head cut off, providing no act. It's like, we're not the victim of the 2020 election. Republicans were in on 8 out of 10 things that screwed it up, and then they want to sit and act like they never did it. I don't understand. Nothing's going to change. So, and then when someone does do it, they get mad at like a DeSantis for winning an election and flipping a state red. So, something to think about, just an idea. So much potential. Don't buy into, this is one thing I'll say too, because I want to leave on an optimistic note. If you ask most Democrats or most Republicans, do you have faith in the future of America? Do you think we're going in the right direction? Here's one thing that Republicans and Democrats have in common. No one thinks we're going in a good direction anymore. Ask Democrats, do you think that the country is going in the right direction? Democrats will say, no, it's so bad. They're treating gays so bad. Fascism, Trump, and then if you ask left-winger or right-wingers, do you think the country's going in the right direction? They'd say, no, the gays are making my kids gayer. Disney's gay. Everything's gay and everyone's poor. Joe Biden stole my money. My eggs cost too much. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to be funny about it, but the only thing the left and right seem to agree on is that they don't think the country's going in the right direction for different reasons. So the majority of people are pessimistic. I'm optimistic. The dollar, I don't believe, is going to crash. We're going to be fine. This is still a huge country and economic power, and the deep state has a few tricks up their sleeve. I'm not saying it's good, but the petrodollar is stronger than people think, in my opinion. And although we may lose a little bit to the sneaky Russia-China deals and the BRICS or whatever, we'll be okay. I'm not that worried about it. I'm not really worried about World War III. I'm not worried. Things aren't great in some areas, but things are great in other areas. There's a lot of, blessings of this era. And at the end of the day, we got to deal with the cards we're dealt. So I'm also a big believer in manifesting. If I woke up every day and said, I'm not going to make it, I never would have made it. I had to believe in myself before I made it happen. And this is America too. I don't like the fact that Republicans are so pessimistic. You could say the world's so bad, it's going in the wrong direction, but you got to have a flip where we're going to do it right. And, it's like point out some of the good things too. When I went to TPUSA, Ted Cruz and all these losers were like, oh, it's so shitty, it's so shitty, it's so shitty, everything's shitty, it's shitty. And they got a bunch of 23-year-olds like, oh my gosh. So, there's adults there too, older people. It's all different crowd, but there's college people there too. And every Republican's telling them how shitty it is. If I'm up there, I'd tell them, this is one of the greatest times to be alive. You don't need a record label to start a music situation. You don't need a television to get your message out there. I was able to beat major media with my cell phone. You know what I'm saying? I worked across the street from CNN when I lived in LA. I didn't work at CNN. I worked across the street. It was like David and Goliath. I'm working at a little store. I'm looking at that tower towering over me, and I'm talking shit about them on my Twitter account, and I'm able to outpower them in certain ways. So it's like, all these Republicans are such losers. They're like, oh, it's so bad. It's so bad. You're telling a 21-year-old like they're growing up in a starvation and they're all getting fat because they're eating Uber Eats and, canola oil. It's like, it's not that bad at all. People used to starve. They used to die because they starved. Now people are dying because they're too fat. It's like, I'm not saying it's good. I'm just saying in general, get a positive message out to people. Tell the kids that although it's getting rough socially, there's also a lot of blessings, because just like if you don't believe in yourself and you believe that you're going in a wrong direction, you're manifesting you continually going in the wrong direction. And it's very sad to me that both parties think it's so bad, it's so bad, it's so bad. I no doubt can identify that things are in some ways not moving in a good direction, in other ways they are. With all that being said, the solution is, there are still great things about this country. There still are great places. Everywhere you go is not like New York City and San Francisco. And eventually we need to let these things inspire us to do this. Like, some people will tell you their struggles were the greatest thing that ever happened to them. That's what made them find God. That's what made them work harder. You know what I'm saying? Falling flat on your face sometimes, like, thank God that happened, because if it didn't, I never would have created my own business. If I never got fired from there, I never would have found this job. So we got to start looking at it that way and being like, yeah, Biden sucks. This person sucks. Our party's kind of clowny, but I'm not tripping about it, and neither should anyone else. It definitely isn't ideal to pay more for groceries, but if that's happening, we got to figure out solutions: personal solutions, business solutions, family solutions, and political party solutions. And to me, the political party solution, I don't just sit here and say this stuff to complain. I want to use my leverage to make Trump, DeSantis, RFK, and everyone earn my vote. I am not endorsing anybody. I'm not giving my vote to anybody, and I'm not giving my media company to anybody. I've built a company that I got 2 million plus followers, 800 million plus views, thousands of comments on my Instagram. I have one of the most engaged pages on multiple different platforms. And I'm not saying that to brag. I'm just saying I work my ass off to build all this stuff. And I'm not selling it to anybody that's going to just say, oh, you can only say this and you can only do this. I'm going to say whatever I want, no matter which direction I go with my business. But Trump, DeSantis, especially a politician's not just getting everything I built. Okay, you want me to like you? Do something that I like. You want me to trust you? Be trustworthy. You want me to vote for you? Prove to me that you're going to hire better people than that person, because I'm voting for who I think is going to be the best person. And that decision can change. But if everybody uses their leverage, no matter how big or small, to make these politicians work for us and do what they say they're going to do, they might actually do it. And we have a lot of leverage. And even with like little boycotts and stuff, that just shows the power. It's a little goofy to post that chick or whatever guy's like video too much, or like like people's strategy might be a little goofy, but at the end of the day, everything happens for a reason. And that led to a boycott, which led to the Republican Party showing that they care more about the donors than the social issues. That's a win. Even though it's an ugly win, it's like, damn, I thought those people actually cared. It's like, no, not really. So let's learn a lesson from it, and let's realize that that's kind of how they operate. Before I go, I wanted to laugh about not trying to be mean, but why is Caitlyn Jenner, why does Caitlyn Jenner not like Dylan Mulvaney? I don't understand. It's like, I read an article where Caitlyn Jenner was outraged because Dylan Mulvaney was on a Nike thing, and it's like, why is Caitlyn Jenner upset at Dylan Mulvaney? Dylan Mulvaney's not playing sports. You know what I'm saying? Dylan Mulvaney's kind of just doing what Caitlyn Jenner did. I don't understand. I get why Matt Walsh is upset. I get why conservatives are upset. But why is what exactly about Dylan Mulvaney does Caitlyn Jenner not like? Because it's like, we can do this, but be tasteful with it. What does it mean to be tasteful? What? I don't know. I just thought of that the other day, and I was like, why? I'm trying to figure out the angle of so when you do this, it's revolutionary, but when this other person does it, it's too much because it's not conservative enough. Just interesting. I don't know. I'm not trying to overdo it, but it's just interesting. Appreciate you. God bless you guys. And thank you for everybody listening on audio. Dream Rare Podcast has doubled in audio listens over the last month or two. Thank you. Big Pharma, Not Big Pharma shirts are shipping out pretty soon. The God is Great sweatshirts that are new, and the Big Pharma, Not Big Pharma shirts on dreamrare.com. They are It was a pre-sale, so that means we were ordering it and they're getting in this week or next week. I'm not really sure. Probably this week. So usually when you buy my merch, it ships out very quickly. I would say within a week, almost definitely always, like super fast, because I work with a good small business, American business, a friend of mine who really crushes it. Like he helps me get all the stuff and ship it, etc. So it usually goes really fast, and it's still going to be pretty fast. It was just a pre-sale. So once we get it in, they'll ship out right away. You should have your shirts and sweatshirts sooner than later. So thank you guys. Just letting you know it's a pre-sale. That's why if it takes an extra week or so, that's the reason we had to count the numbers. Appreciate you guys. I'll be back soon. I had fun. Hopefully everyone did too. Hey, what's going on, my friends? Just a few ways to stay in touch and support if you'd like to. The first way is dreamrare.com. We have blue beanies, black beanies, pink hats, other colored hats, freedom versus tyranny shirts, stay blessed long sleeve, God is great long sleeve, and lots of more cool items coming soon. Dreamrare.com. Check out the shop to support. Everything's made in the United States. Handpicked by me. Patreon.com/raretalk for $5 a month. You can help support me, support the show. If you haven't noticed, unlike other channels, I don't work with very many sponsors, sometimes none at all. And part of the way I'm able to do that is with the dreamrare.com shop and patreon.com/raretalk. So thank you guys for keeping this show free, unimpeded, uninterrupted. I'm forever grateful. My free email list is stayintouchwithme.com. So check the links below in the description or just type in on any browser, stayintouchwithme.com, all one word. You'll find my email list, put it in there, and it's the least annoying email list you'll ever be on. I barely use it because I don't like getting emailed every day or every week. It's annoying. So I don't do it. Stayintouchwithme.com. It helps me take back some power away from big tech. Telegram, t.me/dreamrarechat or @dreamrarechat. Due to censorship, I post all my live stream and videos there. Sometimes I have some bonus content, and I try to give people a heads up when Facebook or YouTube won't. DreamRareChat at Telegram. My Instagram is @DreamRare. Thanks for everybody following there for shorter content. And DreamRareLinks.com. That's DreamRareLinks.com. Has all my stuff. My podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, my music on Spotify and Apple, my Rumble page, my BitChute and Gab page. All my links are found at DreamRareLinks.com. Thanks for watching, folks. God bless you. You already know I'll be back with more content soon.